right, ladies and gentlemen, we are just hours removed from the Royal Rumble, which took place in Saudi Arabia this year. Welcome to the Wrestling is Bullshit podcast. I'm very excited to analyze what has gone down and share my thoughts on all things Royal Rumble, or as some like to call it. And don't get me twisted, I do not mean this with ill intent. I do not mean this with hatred in my heart, but the Saudi Rumble. Okay, a lot of people have been calling it the Saudi Rumble. Um, again, I'm not trying to say this to be facetious, but I mainly bring it up because I do want to comment on how I felt about the Royal Rumble, one of the best premium live events of the year for WWE, taking place in Saudi Arabia. Okay, and I am not against WWE doing what they do in Saudi Arabia. Is there some red tape around it? Yeah. Am I willing to be okay with it? Yeah, money talks and bullshit walks, right? That is a fact of life that I have come to accept. Anywho, I just want to talk about, the fact that it was never a ridiculously humongous problem, WWE running events in Saudi Arabia. I know for a lot of people it was when they first started doing it. What was a big problem is the way they were doing it. But when Triple H and company got involved creatively, I thought they found a best case scenario for WWE events in Saudi Arabia. And that was basically for Saudi to have their own thing every year, right? In the United States, we have WrestleMania, we have the Rumble, we have SummerSlam, and we have Survivor Series, right? For the most part. Sometimes those events take place in Canada or whatever. But overall, it was the WWE universe. And simply for the fact that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia pumps a lot of money into making these WWE events happen on their home turf, there's no way they're not going to operate in their own unique space, right? Like the fact that Shawn Michaels and Triple H took on the Brothers of Destruction in the late 2010s, if not early. Yeah, it was the late 2010s. It just goes to show you that these Saudi Arabia shows are too big to sit next to everything else we get in the WWE ecosystem, right? And they found a way to give Saudi Arabia their own WWE to get excited about and enjoy in terms of being able to go to the shows and having some sort of nationalist, pride and exclusive joy, right? God, this is not getting on the right foot. What am I trying to say here? And I'm not going to cut this out. I'm going to leave it. These are my human being emotions. All right. I'm going to leave it. What am I saying here, though? I thought establishing King and Queen of the Ring for Saudi Arabia's Night of Champions premium live event was a good move. We know that the King and the Queen of the Ring tournament, or we did at the time know that the King of the and Queen of the Ring tournament were going to take place in Saudi Arabia. I think that's a unique thing for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to have and to host year in and year out, right? Like that makes sense to me. It's not something that WWE was taking very seriously until they started giving it to Saudi Arabia. And I've enjoyed the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournaments concluding at Saudi Arabia ever since they started doing that. And then Crown Jewel, right? They did something with Crown Jewel in creating the Crown Jewel Championship, where the undisputed champion and world heavyweight champion face each other to find out who the champion of champions is. And that very champions of champions, after SummerSlam towards the end of the year, goes ahead and gets a championship ring, which was exclusive, right? It's not like it affected anything that was happening in WWE for the rest of the year. It felt unique, fun, exciting, right? These King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, as well as the concept of Crown Jewel, seemed perfect for Saudi Arabia every 2 years, right? I don't understand the need to expand past that, really. And I was completely fine with the Royal Rumble hosting Saudi Arabia. I didn't really think much of it up until I was sitting down watching it and the event was going down. And the women's Royal Rumble looked like some Power Ranger shit. All right. Like, I didn't expect the Royal Rumble being in Saudi Arabia to affect me negatively at all. But I'm going to be honest in telling you that it did. Okay. It did. It felt weird. It felt different. The fact that the stadium went up so quickly, which is its own conversation in itself about what is inhumane and what is not inhumane, it really did rub me the wrong way. And it's not really something I was expecting. And honestly, it took a bit of the spectacle away. But all is not lost, okay? My only thing is, if I felt like this about the Rumble, how the hell am I going to feel about WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia in 2027? Probably not good, okay? Probably not good. I was super down with the way that WWE was incorporating their Saudi shows when it came to King and Queen of the Ring for the past couple of years, and the concept of Crown Jewel, where you have Crown Jewel champions. I was super down. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a best case scenario, to be honest. I didn't think it could get better. But, here we are. Here we are, and the Saudi Arabia has just hosted the Royal Rumble. I did not like it. I think it brought in a lot of unwanted negativity into one of the best events of the year inadvertently, right? Like, I don't think any of us wrestling fans in the community were predicting that this would happen. Maybe some people were, but I think a lot of us at this point, after years and years, were willing to go in there and be like, it's the Rumble. Let's have fun. That didn't happen, right? It was weird. I've been trying to quantify it with my wording for the past 6 minutes, but here's what I could say: it was weird. Okay, I think it's great that Saudi Arabia is able to host these WWE premium live events and carve their own path and culture alongside the WWE universe, right? Like, they are a part of the WWE universe, absolutely, and I welcome the people of Saudi Arabia. Absolutely. But I don't know what happened. Okay, it was weird, and hopefully it wasn't weird for you. I don't wish that on anyone, but for me it was weird. Nonetheless, let's talk about it because it actually was a fun show, minus the ick that I got from it. Honestly, it was an ick. Okay, and if that makes me an asshole, then I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. I'm being genuine, open mind, open heart, open book. This is how I feel. It was freaking weird. There was too much ick going on. Let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about who won these Royal Rumble matches, right? The Royal Rumble matches on the women's side, the Royal Rumble match was won by Liv Morgan, who was actually my pick. I can't remember if I said it on the last episode or not. I'm pretty sure I did, but Liv Morgan was my pick, and I was surprised that she actually won the damn thing. So Liv Morgan now has the option. As it stands, the titles can always change hands, but she can go after two champions. She can go after Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship, and she can go after Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. Obviously, Liv Morgan being on Raw, I have a feeling they're going to do Liv versus Stephanie Vaquer, which will be a fantastic match at WrestleMania this year. And I'm super happy that Liv got a Rumble. It feels like she's been getting lost in the sauce just a little bit, and justifiably so, right? That women's division on Raw is cooking. You got Lyra Valkyria, right? You got Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez really coming into her own, Stephanie Vaquer, right? Naomi had a brief stint with the title. You got a lot going on. You got the women's tag team division being featured heavily. Liv Morgan wins the Royal Rumble and rises above all that. And shout out to Liv Morgan. She's fantastic. And it's good to see her get a win here. And then in the men's Royal Rumble to close out the show, we also had Roman Reigns win his second Royal Rumble, which, it was time. It was time for Roman to win the Rumble. This definitely brings a lot of intrigue. My personal pick was Braun Breaker for this, just because I thought they were going to do it. Something in my jellies felt like they were going to pull the trigger on Breaker and have him win the Rumble this year. That's okay, though. We have time with Braun Breaker. I'm okay with him not winning. They set up the storyline with Seth Rollins. He's probably going to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. But Roman, who is he going to face at WrestleMania? Well, as it stands, we have the potential to have him go after the undisputed WWE Championship again, Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. We also have the potential of him going up against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. Let me tell you where I'm at. The way that Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu were eliminated from the Royal Rumble with the involvement of Drew McIntyre yells triple threat to me. I have a feeling for the undisputed WWE Championship, we're going to have a triple threat: Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and Jacob Fatu. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I know the Vegas crowd isn't favorable of Cody, and I know they are highly favorable of Jacob Fatu, along with the rest of the WWE universe. So putting this triple threat together, having Drew McIntyre walk in there with the big belt, is fantastic. And I'm excited to see this triple threat. I hope that that's the case. I've been calling for this triple threat for quite a few weeks now. And then I think Roman Reigns, the Royal Rumble winner of 2026, should have a one-on-one match for the World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk. And here's where you might call me out a little bit, right? Because if you've been listening to my stuff for a while, you know how I feel about the World Heavyweight Championship. If the undisputed WWE Championship is for John Cena, is for Cody Rhodes, is for Randy Orton, is for even Drew McIntyre at this point, then the World Heavyweight Championship should absolutely be for Gunther, Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, right? Seth Rollins, I'll make an exception for just because he's such a freaking workhorse and hasn't really gotten his time in the sun as like WWE's main champion for too long. So you can get away with putting the world heavyweight title on him only because he deserves it, right? But we have CM Punk with the world heavyweight title right now, not exactly of the cloth of the wrestlers that I mentioned that should be for the world heavyweight championship, right? The guys in their prime, the workhorses, Gunther, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, CM Punk. I'm sorry, if anything, I really thought he was going to be an undisputed WWE champion kind of guy, but clearly I was wrong. And here he is having a quite fine World Heavyweight Championship reign. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, that if you've been listening to my stuff, how I feel about the World Heavyweight title. It should be used to take superstars and turn them into megastars, right? Gunther should have it. LA Knight should have it. Finn Balor should have it. Dominic Mysterio should have it. You get what I'm saying? So obviously, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship flies in the face of that concept. Here's the thing: if you were to tell me that the big championship matches at WrestleMania were going to be the triple threat that I just mentioned, right? Cody, Jacob Fatu, and Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE title, and then on the other side, it was going to be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. I would say at this point, dude, it is just boosting that title's legacy up. And I think that the World Heavyweight Championship should main event WrestleMania if it is going to be Roman versus Cody. And I have a good feeling it will be. There is a chance that Seth Rollins comes back and makes it a triple threat again. Again, it's Seth, Roman, and Punk. Like, that is possible. The only reason I say no to that is because Seth has a natural story with Braun Breaker that they've already kind of built up at the Rumble. And before that, of course, before Seth went away for a little while. And then they're also probably going to have a triple threat for the undisputed title. So you don't want to do two triple threats for two of the big titles, right? You want to do one triple threat and then one singles match. What am I trying to say here? I think Roman Reigns should face CM Punk, even though it goes against everything that I think the World Heavyweight Championship stands for, or should stand for. Should stand for is what I should say. I'm willing to put that to the side to get Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, and I think it would be an excellent privilege for this recently crafted, historically speaking, World Heavyweight Championship to be featured in the main event of WrestleMania with such stardom. I think that's fantastic. I think it's unconventional. I think it's the byproduct of a lot of things that went haywire in 2025, mainly Seth Rollins getting injured. But I think you do it. I think it just makes sense, and it just has this intuitive ring to it, right? Roman Reigns, CM Punk, World Heavyweight Championship. It has an intuitive ring to it. Who wins that match? I don't know, but I'd like to see it, okay? As cool as Roman versus McIntyre would be, or some sort of fatal four-way for the undisputed title, you just throw Roman in with McIntyre, Cody, and Jacob Fatu. As cool as that would be, I think you do Roman, Cody, and then you have the triple threat for the undisputed title, right? And that's where I think it should be. And we'll see what happens. I'm totally open to that not happening. But yeah, and I think that's good. I think that does justice to the undisputed title, right? You put Cody in the mix with the undisputed title without having Vegas boo the hell out of him, which they will. You have McIntyre walk in there with the world title in the last WrestleMania before they go to Saudi. Because here's my fear, and hopefully I'm wrong. But once WWE starts doing WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, I could see them having trouble getting out of there. I could see them having trouble saying no to all the money that Saudi Arabia in company will be willing to pay WWE to have WrestleMania there every year. Okay, that's my fear. And it's very possible if you think about it. Okay, I'm not trying to stir shit up. I just think it's very freaking possible, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm always down to be wrong, and you know that. Nonetheless, you give Drew his moment in which he deserves because the pandemic happened as he was about to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania all those years ago, right? You give him his moment. You have him walk in with the world title. And even if he wins, that would be fantastic. I could see him winning and leaving WrestleMania in Vegas as the undisputed champion. Okay. And if you thought that the Royal Rumble wasn't packed enough, right? Obviously, I just went into a frenzy, and we talked about was the fact that the Royal Rumble was in Saudi Arabia and the winners of the men's and women's Royal Rumble match. That's all we've talked about, and we're 15 minutes in, right? If you thought this wasn't entertaining enough, then you clearly missed the Gunther versus AJ Styles match, which unfortunately solidified the fact that AJ Styles is no longer a WWE superstar. This was a retirement match for AJ Styles if he was to lose against Gunther, and he did. Okay? Here's the thing, though. First and foremost, before I get into it, shout out to AJ Styles, right? Debuted in the 2016 Royal Rumble. Even after the 2016 Royal Rumble, a lot of the wrestling fan community was saying, how long is he going to be in WWE? He's already pretty old. He's probably only got 2 to 3 years max. Here we are 10 years later. AJ Styles retires a WWE superstar 10 years after he became a WWE superstar at the 2016 Royal Rumble. Shout out to AJ Styles. Really solidifies him. This WWE run really solidifies him as one of the best wrestlers in the world ever. Ever. Okay? And that is the truth. That is a fact. And I'm not going back on that. He did it in TNA for several years, right? He should have been world champion more in TNA for several years. He did it in New Japan, was the biggest New Japan star when he was there for 2 years, and then he did it in WWE for 10 years and beat the odds and proved people wrong. I have so much respect for AJ Styles, man. It's unreal. Here's the thing, though. That couldn't have been his last match. He may be done in WWE, but guess what? I think he's going back to TNA. Or AJ Styles may be all elite. We'll find out. I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done. Let's move on from the Royal Rumble. Oh, there's one more thing I do have to mention before we move on. Royce Keys, formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs, made his WWE debut in the Royal Rumble. Royce Keys is now a main roster superstar. I definitely expected him to go to NXT first. Maybe that is still in the cards for him. We will find out what the future holds for Royce Keys, formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs in AEW, as a WWE superstar. I definitely think he'll have better luck as a WWE superstar than AEW. AEW simply just does not know how to book giants. I'm sorry, they don't. Okay? I love AEW. They don't know how to book giants. And WWE does, in fact, know how to book giants. Look at Gunther. Okay? And that's not even naming the OGs. Mark Henry, Big Show, the Great Khali. We're going to be eating good. Royce Keys, I should say, is going to be eating good as a WWE superstar. All right. Before we get into the watch list and the top 20 champions of wrestling, I want to talk about one little piece, one little thing that happened on Saturday evening after the Royal Rumble. You see, AEW Collision was live. AEW Collision featured Tommaso Ciampa's first match against Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship. And Tommaso Ciampa has won the TNT Championship in his first AEW match. New champ over in AEW, and his name is Tommaso Ciampa. Oh my goodness, man. The free agency in 2026 is going crazy. Tommaso Ciampa is about to have a fantastic TNT championship run, and it may inspire guys like Johnny Gargano, guys like Finn Balor, guys from the black and gold era of NXT that haven't gotten their way on the main roster to lose patience with WWE and potentially go to AEW. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm not saying I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying it's possible. Okay, we are already seeing Tommaso Ciampa win a title so early on, and we know if you are an objectively thinking wrestling fan that knows their shit, then you know that there is zero reason for Tommaso Ciampa not to succeed in AEW. I'm not saying he's going to win the AEW World Championship. I'm just saying he's set up for success. All he has to do is wrestle and defend the TNT Championship, and he is more than capable of that. We are in for a treat. This TNT Championship continues to be a cornerstone of all elite wrestling, as it should be. Very excited to see what happens there, right? two big wrestling events in one day. The first one consisting of Tommaso Ciampa winning the TNT Championship on AEW Collision. And of course, the second one, and arguably, well, yes, objectively most important one, was the Saudi Rumble. Watching Roman Reigns win his second Royal Rumble and Liv Morgan win her first ever Royal Rumble. Okay, let's get into the watch list before we get into the top 20 champions of wrestling. Rant over. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Just kidding. Okay, we got 3 events, right? We have 3 events on the watch list this week, and they are as easy as 1, 2, 3. Okay? Monday Night Raw, the first one. We will see Stephanie Vaquer defend the Women's World Championship in a street fight against Raquel Rodriguez. Should be fun. It's been a great run for Stephanie Vaquer and the Women's World Championship over at Raw. Tuesday night, 2, NXT. We have 3 huge matches. Listen to me, NXT is a must-watch this week. Maybe you're like me and you miss the black and gold, and NXT is not exactly doing it for you like other promotions are, other shows are, I should say. This is a must-watch episode of NXT this week, okay? First and foremost, we have the Knockouts World Tag Team Championship on the line as the Elegance brand defense against Zaruka. All right. We have Izzy Dame defending the Women's North American Championship against Thea Hale and Lola Vice in a triple threat match. And lastly, we have a 6-man ladder match for the NXT Championship consisting of Ricky Saints, Joe Hendry, Sean Legacy, Jackson Drake, Dion Lennox, Keanu Carter, and Shiloh Hill. 7-man, excuse me. This should be a very fun match. It's a brave new world for NXT. They've lost guys like Trick. They've lost guys like Obafemi. They've lost guys like Javon Evans. So who will step up? My money's on Joe Hendry. I'd love to see Joe Hendry as NXT champion. Ricky Saints is somebody you can't go wrong with in that position. And yeah, we're entering a brave new era for NXT as many main roster call-ups have gutted people that I was excited to see in NXT. You know, Javon Evans kept me single-handedly interested in NXT for a long time, but now he's on the main roster. Same with Obafemi, same with Trick Williams. That was the 3. Right now, they're all on the main roster. Time for somebody else to make a name for themselves. NXT is must watch this week with 3 big matches. Last but not least on the watch list, AEW Dynamite. Ricochet defends the AEW National Championship against Jack Perry once again. Something tells me that we are getting a new national champion on AEW Dynamite, and it may be Jack Perry. We will find out. There's only one way to find out. Okay, before we go, I would like to go over the top 20 champions of wrestling. Here we go. At number 20, we have Leon Slater, still holding it down with the TNA X Division Championship. Had a bit of a hiccup at the beginning of this new era for TNA as he had visa issues, quote unquote. I don't believe it for a second. I think WWE wanted him for SmackDown, which was a fun moment, I will admit. But Leon Slater finds himself at number 20 here. Should be in the top 5, but we'll see how he bounces back in 2026. Number 19, the North American champion, All Ego Ethan Page, who has been doing great work for 7 months at this point and really maximizing an opportunity and being a cornerstone of NXT. Number 18, the AAA World Tag Team Champions, Pagano and Psycho Clown, who, yes, continue to do their thing. Okay, Pagano and Psycho Clown are some of the most entertaining champions in AAA right now. Number 17, Bandito, the Ring of Honor World Champion, who is entering 9 months into being the Ring of Honor World Champion. And he's been great. He has brought legitimacy back to the Ring of Honor World Championship, something that has been gone for a very long time. Number 16, Stax, TNA International Champion. Absolutely being a great heel with the TNA crowd. Right? He's a hated NXT superstar that has a TNA championship around his shoulders. And I'm excited to see where this goes. Okay. I think Stax is very underrated in the world of wrestling right now. Okay. Number 16, top 20 champions of wrestling. Number 15, CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. Something very unexpected that came into play here. Claudio Castagnoli. Claudio Castagnoli continues to defend the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship, primarily in CMLL, but also on AEW programming. And he's absolutely maximizing his time in this unique situation where he is a major champion in CMLL. Number 14, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR, coming off of a successful defense and looking the best they've ever been, really. Okay. It's kind of like death and taxes. FTR is going to have a good match. Like, you can rely on death and taxes to be facts of life, is what the heck I'm trying to say there. Someone else that's surprisingly doing pretty well. I'm not saying that I expected them to disappoint. I'm just saying their championship win really came out of nowhere, and they have put in any sort of animosity about whether they should or shouldn't be champion to rest by just getting in there, having a good time, and doing their thing. And that is Chris Statlander, number 13 in the top 20 champions of wrestling. Chris Statlander holds the AEW Women's World Championship. And just above her, just doing a little bit better, is the Women's World Champion of Monday Night Raw, Stephanie Vaquer. Okay, number 12. Number 11, the Women's Champion of Wrestling right now, Athena, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. Okay, do I even need to explain myself there? Let's get into the top 10. Number 10, Ricochet, AEW National Champion. We'll see if he holds on to his title after a match with the title on the line against Jack Perry, scheduled for Dynamite. Number 9, United States Champion Carmelo Hayes, continuing the greatness that Sami Zayn has recently created in terms of having the United States Championship defended on SmackDown every Friday night. Number 8, the Elegance brand recently won the Knockouts World Tag Team Championship, and they are here defending their titles on NXT, which bumps them up to the number 8 spot in the top 20 champions of wrestling. We'll see if they're able to stay in the top 10 or if they fall to the wayside. Number 7, Lanie Luck, somebody who has won the WWE ID Women's Championship just a couple of months ago, but has done her thing in terms of defending the title consistently. Number 6, speaking of defending the title consistently, Red Velvet, Ring of Honor Women's World Television Champion. Number 5, as we enter the top 5 of the top 20 champions of wrestling, is Jon Moxley, someone that is a constant presence in AEW with that Continental Championship. Waiting for the face turn to be official. I understand they're still trying to use the Death Riders in some heel capacities on Collision, but we got to get that face turn going. Maybe the betrayal from Claudio and the rest of the Death Riders on Jon Moxley will be the moment that we've been waiting for. We'll see what happens. Number 4, Babes of Wrath. Okay, consistently defending their AEW Women's World Tag Team Championships, enough to land them at the number 4 spot in the top 20 champions of wrestling. And number 3, we have Mike Santana, the most interesting thing happening in TNA right now. TNA World Champion, number 3 on the top 20 champions of wrestling list. Number 2, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, AEW World Champion. Starting his AEW World Championship reign of 2026 hot. Okay, defending the title, cutting S-tier level promos, badass level promos, and just being MJF. Exactly what AEW needs right now. And kudos to AEW for just letting him do his thing, right? That's something that I've seen WWE kind of struggle with over the years. It's more of a comment on the old guard, if you will, not letting guys just do their thing. I love watching AEW give MJF the freedom to be their world champion and to be great. And last but not least, number 1 in the top 20 champions of wrestling is the undisputed WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, who has had his first title defense against Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble and wrestled a fantastic match doing so. Very interesting, right? I think Drew McIntyre surprised the world when he won the undisputed WWE championship just a couple of weeks ago, and continues to be impressive and show us and remind us that he deserves to be in this spot. And he's really just making fans out of all of us, right? Seems like Drew McIntyre was not getting his justice or his due credit or due process over in WWE. And now he is, as the main guy. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. I don't know what I can say. All right. These champions are doing their thing. We are in the upswing to begin the year 2026. Okay. It is definitely WrestleMania season, WWE season, but don't think that AEW won't try and capitalize on the momentum that WWE brings to the community. Okay. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Okay. Be good. Be happy. We will talk soon. Peace.